Vice mayor under fire. Allegedly, you could listen to the audio. She absolutely urges gangs to organize, not over ICE, but to literally, she says, take back their streets from ICE. Cynthia Gonzalez of Cudahy appeared to call. Boy, they're going out of their way, The Guardian, anti-white garbage. If a white politician, and this is the way to properly take the temperature on what's happening here and in the West, in communities, is like, this is not a one-off. Didn't we just see this in LA? These exact same, this is our city now. So here you have Cynthia Gonzalez and this just genuine threat posed by these particular anti-whites with this baseless claim that the entire mid and southwest is theirs. They don't want the mid and southwest without Western civilization. Oh, if we could somehow pack it all up, all of the electricity, the money, the water, the clean water, the running water, the Gibbs, if we could pack it all up and leave, they would not accept that deal. If they were just left with the barren Midwest and West, here's the important thing when you're taking the temperature here. This is anti-white. This woman is a race national. She's race loyal to Hispanics, to whatever she perceives them to be. Non-white Hispanics, by the way. I'm sure she would not be terribly fond of white Hispanics, especially those that would disagree with her. But this woman is anti-white, and she has a people, and she is calling on, and she's in office in America. And she is one of many examples, and more of them show up every day, of non-white anti-whites claiming this is ours now, take it back from, and then ICE is just a stand-in for the white man. You see ICE show up all the time anyhow, and what do you see? You see a bunch of white guys. And of course, there are going to be some Hispanics and white Hispanics mixed in as well, I'm sure. But you see a bunch of white guys showing up. So what she's saying is, this is ours now. So when anti-whiteism got started, did they say this is ours now? No. But people like me could tell you, and if you were alive then, you could probably have been able to say, oh, this is not, she's not going to be sweet forever. You know, the Cynthia Gonzalez of the past is not going to be this sweet. She just showed up with hat in hand and wants a little help. And she's got a bunch of kids, and I feel bad for all of her little brown kids. So I'm just going to keep bringing them in. I'm just going to keep bringing them in, and they're all stewing in anti-whiteism. And of course, some of them are not anti-white, obviously. But you have more than enough that are stewing in anti-whiteism. And what are they doing in these areas that are white erased, where we have been pushed out? Why have we been pushed out? Why have we left? Nature. We don't see our spirit, our biospirit, our instincts reflected in our environment. So we feel disharmony. That's one of the very few true things you find in anti-whiteism. They'll only talk about it from the non-white point of view, of course. They feel discomfort, so they have to remake they have to white erase your environment. So when our environment is white erased, we don't feel harmony there, and we leave. We white flight out of there. So they moved in. We were white erased. We were targeted. We were targeted for victimization, physical victimization, criminality as well, and presented with and afflicted with a crime rate and a civility level that is endemic and normal for them. And we didn't like it. We don't feel harmony with that. So we left. White erased more and more. And now they say, we've gotten rid of almost all of you. It's ours. You have no right to any of this anymore. Not even the federal government of this country can come in here anymore. This is all our. Really focus on the mentality there. How viciously anti-white it is. This is literally bloodthirsty to call on violent gangs to physically vie with ICE. Of course, she left it vague enough. She said, take back your streets from the white race in the guise of ICE. How are they going to take them back? How do they take them back? Violence. The vice mayor of a Southern California city is under fire after appearing to call on street gangs to organize in the face of immigration sweeps by federal agents. In a video post on social media that's since been deleted, Cynthia Gonzalez, vice mayor of Cudahy, said she wanted to know where all the gang members were at in Los Angeles. Quote, you guys are always tagging everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there ain't a peep out of you. So she's literally, I mean, how'd you like to be married to this one? You ain't a man. You're not a real man. And guys, let me tell you, if you're with a woman and she uses this, you're no real man unless you obey me. Run. Get as far away from her as you can. No good woman will ever say that. It's totally used to manipulate you. If a woman finds that she's not with a man and that's what she wants, she'll leave him. If she is with you and she's staying with you and she's saying, you're not a man if you don't X, Y, or Z, she's there to control you. She doesn't want a man. She wants a servant. Never forget it. So she's insulting their manhood. You know, man, you're hiding now. Why aren't you out there? She further referenced 18th Street and Florence, two infamous street gangs. We're out there fighting. We are out there fighting our so really bad Hispanic, and these are some bad people. But we are on YouTube, so I'm sure there are some really good people in those gangs. We're out there fighting our turf, protecting our people, and like, where you at? This is so gross too, just by the by, that everything in the West has been made or is influenced by this like ghetto rap. I would rather have her wear like a giant sombrero and speak with some slang from whatever country she or her parents came from than talk like she's a ghetto rapper. Where you at? The video seemed to suggest Gonzalez was calling on gang leaders to help out and organize as that. Okay, so this is the Guardian trying to whitewash, no pun intended there, but trying to whitewash what she actually just did. If I were the mayor of a town in Virginia and I said, where is my, and there isn't one. So let's pretend that there was a white militia that was not just a bunch of clowns. Like, these gangs are real. So let's pretend that there was a white militia that was for real. Okay. And I was like, where is my Wolverines? Where are my Wolverines? And they're going to take this city back from these. And then I say something rather than specify a race, like she used ICE for white people. That's the police are white people. The government is white people, right? So if I said, take this city back from the hood rats, the Guardian, every mainstream media, because it's all anti-white, would be calling, I would be arrested before the end of the day. There would be charges against me, state and federal. There would be news stories written in the sky about the evil white race. And then the white race, the punishment that the population believes the white race deserves, that victimization, would all be focused on me personally to obliterate me. There'd be no fair treatment. Nobody would be saying, well, what we think he actually meant, he only barely appeared to be calling on the Wolverines to kill black people. But what we think he actually meant was to call on the Wolverines to educate the black people in that city. Whatever. So, the comments made by the mayor, vice mayor, her personal views. Oh, yeah, the city came out and said, oh, that's not our views. That's her personal views. She's also, looks like she's calling on Facebook. This is the latest update. She wrote, allegedly, I don't know why, this is a Fox story, I need a lawyer. The FBI came to my house. So we'll see. I mean, nothing's happened to Karen Bass. Nothing happened to those other females, several of whom in Los Angeles, in positions of authority, waiting for news on them. Nothing serious. So we'll jump on our plane. We'll take back off and we will head to our next destination, which is Chicago. And here we have Mayor Brandon Johnson. Now remember, Chicago, like so many of the cities across the West, was founded by white people, twice actually, and was 100% white as a consequence. But it's not anymore because of white erasure, a consequence of anti-whiteism. So, and then this guy, Nick here, totally dropping the ball as usual. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson just announced he will be handing race-based grants to blacks for slavery reparations. And then Nick retardedly says, or I'm sorry, tardisly says, this is straight up racism. Never use their terminology because you legitimize their ideology. Trump's DOJ should shut this down now. It won't.
Our way will bring to black residents in reclaiming ownership of our own communities. That is the spirit of Juneteenth, you all. It is about reflecting.
Note that as well. Very important point from this clip is that Juneteenth, like Kwanzaa is failing to do because it's so silly, but Juneteenth will work where Kwanzaa failed. It will serve as a Black Power holiday based in the news of slavery ending in Texas, and increasingly in the war for Southern independence, a rewriting of that war, misnamed Civil War, as blacks liberating themselves from slavery in the United States. And as a consequence, the arc and within the narrative, the anti-white narrative, this holiday will become one of black empowerment and black power. So he's literally saying here, in the spirit of Juneteenth, I'm going to steal more money. And what is money? When he says I'm going to steal more money from the white race, money is ingenuity, creativity, from the origin industry, from the origin of the production to all the way down the line to all of the implements and increments beyond fathoming that enable the use of the money. So really try to grapple with that from the 30,000 view, because you can't get any closer. You'll lose the image for all the dots that compose it. He's saying, I'm going to steal more. And again, this is in my opinion. I'm going to steal more to give more to you because you are, in the anti-white narrative, a perennial victim, a perpetual victim. You never are other than victim of the white man. So it's Brandon Johnson today. Before it was Brandon Johnson, it was some other anti-white. After Brandon Johnson, it'll be some other anti-white. Saying, in this case, to the black community, in the spirit of Juneteenth, we are going to give you back what's yours. Remember, on our trip, we started in Australia, where a misled young white guy, 20 years old, has ruined his life for being anti-Jew. To California, where a Hispanic vice mayor is calling on violent Hispanic gangs to murder the white race in the guise of law enforcement. To Chicago, where the mayor is fleecing what's left of the white man's productivity in that city and state to freely give it to the black race.
On our past. Other cultures are taught to never forget. We need to be reminded as blacks here in Chicago and America, remembering our past and working towards a more just future. Investing in black is not a criminal act. Sister Zakiya says she need a witness, so I'm gonna say it again. Investing in black is not a criminal act. Our way.
What's another similarity between these two stops? Both are nodes of power held by anti-whites. And that's something that, again, when we calculate about how we recapture our destiny, we need to keep this in mind. This is outright, bold-faced anti-whiteism from people in power, nodes of power. For every one that's going to be this bold out on your face, from every one that's going to make it this obvious, there are going to be 100 in positions of power that are going to be that anti-white, but not be that brazen, not in a position. How about the person that's working at the Department for Motor Vehicles that has to handle your paperwork just right? How about the land and tax office at your county government? How about, you can go down the line of things that are really important. How many of them are going to be anti-whites? And when they screw up your paperwork intentionally, it is just and legitimate. We'll get back on the plane and we'll fly over to our final destination, which is New York City.
Hey, I'm walking here. I'm walking here.
Zoran Mamdini is on track to become the next mayor of that state or city. His win leaves New York City. So he won the primary for the Democrat Party. It leaves New York City staring, and then this is New York Post's. I mean, unbelievable, these people. Playing down this radical anti-white who wants to get rid of all prisons. He wants to get rid, and this, I don't know how it totally makes sense, get rid of prisons, no cash bail, It's like, well, I'm going to deprive that person of oxygen and I'm going to cut their liver out. Well, you don't need to do the other. What else was he going to do? Maybe it says in this article. But instead of calling it anti-whiteism, instead of calling it what it really is, instead of really being concerned here, they're like staring at the curse of interesting times. Just New York Post, anti-whiteism. Zoran Mamdani came in a clear first in the Democrat mayoral primary, and so a pretty sure bet to win once all the ranked choice rigmarole counting concludes. Rigmarole. And thus become the favorite to be New York City's next mayor.
Well, that ain't good.
So they held the primary. Cuomo, look at this. He's by the way, for the person who said under one of my tweets recently that Muslims aren't taking over in America. A bunch of Muslims aren't showing up in America. They're showing up everywhere. This guy is Muslim. Arab Muslim. And guess who a big segment of his supporters is composed of? White women. Andrew Cuomo failed. And that humiliation should be enough to prompt him to drop out, even though he set up a ballot line that would let him fight on in the general election. Credit Mamdani for running an energetic campaign with a forward-looking feel for charm and grace under fire. Anti-white garbage. Pity those who voted for him, believed his promise, and makes his idealistic social media feed for real life. Mistake his idealism for real life. Blame Cuomo and the spineless Democrat Party machine for not really standing for anything at all. This is another cuck argument of anti-whites, that they don't believe in anything. They don't stand for anything. It's amazing. You can hear a cuck will tell you that the Democrats stand for nothing and they're communists in the exact same conversation. And for relying on "we're your only hope" blackmail of the city's beleaguered business classes to gin up enough support to make it over the finish line. So Cuomo is back, and the businesses, I don't think, actually like him in New York. Cuomo ran on competence without ever actually having been competent. Whichever Cuomo scandal most outraged you, the fact is that he'd run out of steam even before being run out of office. Forget any calculations as to the impact. The decent, honorable thing for him to do once his loss is official is to drop out of the race and out of public life. So this is Zoran. Don't you just want to have a mayor? I mean, this is going to be the mayor of Mayberry. You're like, it can happen in New York, but not here. It's happening everywhere. Zoran Mamdani is going to be your mayor, and he's going to push for cashless bail and a reduction in the number of prisons. And if he is Muslim, which I believe him to be, maybe some other things he'll feel called to implementing in the state laws. Then U.S. can begin catching up with the U.K. with as many Muslims, anti-white Muslims in nodes of power. Looks like the businesses in New York are just as concerned about Mamdini as Cuomo. So there you have three. And of course, you know, Eric Adams, anti-white as all hell. And the Democrat Party, I guess they didn't want to have anything to do with him. He wasn't in the primary. He's going to try to run as an independent. We'll see how that works out. Somebody who's anti-white is going to end up in the ultimate node of power at a city level in New York, already in Chicago, in this town in Southern California, all radically anti-white. Positions of authority, positions of power, the ability to do everything within and, as we see with anti-whiteism, beyond the law again and again and again. At the same time, white people are being encouraged to be anti-non-white, and they are suffering the life-destroying consequences. Isn't it time to take up the practice of go free and put this idiocy behind us? Become a people by way of the concepts that we use, which determine the story that we're in. Be heroes in our own story rather than villains in theirs. The day is going to come, if it continues on this arc, which we plan on preventing, the day is going to come when there'll be hundreds of stories of whites going to prison, having their lives ruined over nothing at all, barely thinking anything heretical to anti-whiteism. And these cities and these leaders in the nodes of power, they'll all be anti-whites. And in many places, as we are seeing in Chicago and in Southern California, they'll be saying, it's ours. Don't come back. Just keep feeding us the money. Just keep supplying whatever influence of Western civilization that keeps us functioning a little bit better than we did in Ecuador or El Salvador or wherever the hell it is. You got to keep doing that. Because if you don't, you're going to end up going to prison like the rest of the white people who are heretical to anti-whiteism. Today, we have given you the tools, the knowledge of how to see the white guilted that are white guilted enough that they will say it to you, what that looks like, how to talk to those people. And we have given you the motivation by what's happening to those who are misguided in our race, ruining their life, and the motivation, looking at the anti-whites, claiming victory and ownership over what was clearly our creation and our country's. And then, of course, the angst you should fear or feel, and the anger you should feel over more of this in the future, a lot more. I'm curious, though, to see what you all have to say. And I really want to leave you with a very concerning video of a white woman who said that she's got to be anti-white, and she'll tell you why in just a minute. Again, a video and an admission that proves that we are on the right path with the dialogic, the Go Free dialogic, and that everything else fails to take into consideration, and that's why we are where we are today, fails to take into consideration this illness, this anti-whiteism, this social morality that is the operating system for our people. Let's hear from this white female to really get a appreciation of the brain poisoning that is anti-whiteism. You can have a better appreciation of why and how all of these failed methods, a big part, not the only part by no means, but a considerable part of why they just fail. And they've always failed. Let's see. Where are you? She's talking about No King's Day.
I just got back from the Gaithersburg protest. No King's Day. No kings. We don't want no kings in here. And that was amazing. I have to whisper because my baby's sleeping and my husband just took my...
Are you able to hear her? That's as loud as it gets. She said, going to King's Day. No kings. Yay, no kings. You see like this little fist? Yay. I don't need no man. So no kings. Let's see. The babies are sleeping and what? The husband took the dog to the vet?
Because my baby's sleeping and my husband just took my dog to the vet. So I was like racing home. So I'm a little out of breath.
Okay, so she was out anti-whiting while the guy, the cuck maybe, is home with the child and the sick dog. And she has to come home from her anti-whiting so that he can take the sick dog to the vet. What could motivate this?
But I enjoyed it so much. I'm so glad I went. I felt like I had to.
She felt like she... Notice these words. Don't ever let these things sneak by you. I felt like I had to. Because I felt. She has a feeling. Where are the feelings coming from that motivate this decision to be anti-white? They're coming from fiction, which her subconscious mind believes is reality. The same subconscious mind that controls 95+% of her life, including generating feelings. So she felt like she had to.
At first, because I'm white.
Because I'm white. That's going to be, if the white race doesn't reclaim our destiny, that's going to be on the tombstone of the last white person. And they will chisel it themselves with their dying hands right before they roll into the hole. The white race is dead because it was white.
And I'm around a lot of people who voted red. And I felt like I am someone in the middle who maybe...
Someone in the middle. So anti-whites are on the left and anti-whites are on the right.
can make a difference and sway some people to opening their eyes to all the pain that's being caused by...
All the pain. Do you know that this big contingent that is in support of this mayor that just won the primary, what are they calling him? They're calling him Zaddy Zoran for daddy. You'll find them on X, these videos. These females, many of them white, referring to him as Zaddy Zoran. Zoran the moron. Listen to that again and look at her face.
it so much. I'm so glad I went.
So glad I went. Watch your face. Now, this is like your basic white female.
I felt like I had to at first because I'm white.
Okay. I felt like I had to at first because I'm white. And then she added on the part that I'm someone in the middle and I could persuade people because so many people I know voted red. I felt like I had to go to the anti-white No King's Day. And this is an appropriate place to pause her because her eyes are wide shut. I felt like I had to participate in the anti-whiteism, the attack on the white male in the form of who? Donald Trump. That is the form just as much as a police officer, Chauvin, just as much as any of these other folks that have been put on trial that are white, and they prosecute, persecute, slander, and bring the energy of antipathy to the victimization of that person far beyond anything warranted by anything they did, because they are victimizing the white race through them. Donald Trump, although he's certainly not white positive, he impedes. He is heretical to anti-whiteism in various ways. He is not as anti-white as they would like him to be. And so, as a white, what does that mean when she says as a white person? A member of the evil group. I owe it to everybody else to pull down the white race. This total, maybe click under mid, this mid right here at best, very typical white female, is telling you what so many of them you see in the streets, howling and screaming, Zadie Zoran now for office. So many in the streets of France demanding, with their breasts exposed, that the city be white erased so that anti-white non-whites can fill the streets so that they could have nirvana. This is their thinking. You can't go to these people and get them to have feelings for our victimization, for white women, for white men, for white little boys and white little girls, for our seniors, for our ancestors, for our descendants, by going to them with any of these other loser strategies. Go ahead and pick one and imagine that you're going to be able to go to this mentality. And remember, she is just articulating what all of them are feeling, more or less. The white race has been evil. The white race owes. You need to make amends. It's not fair for the non-white people. You're not going to be able to go to this woman in any of the guises or hues that you'll find her as our sisters in the world and tell her, the Jews are terrible. The blacks are the blacks. Look at their rape rate. And have her end up caring for the white race. She believes that the white race is evil. This is and it's, of course, it's not just the white women. We're talking about the white race. It's just a white female in the video. It's just so many white females saying Zadie Zoran. You think I'm making that up. You just wait until you come across it. Such a colossal percentage, to various degrees, have that exact same thinking going on. Some will say it, some won't. Now you know why the Go Free Dialogic works and everything else gets bent.